Overrated, underrated, or properly rated? That's what I'm going to be discussing today. And let's get right into it, starting off with Bastion. Now, I'd say with Bastion, he's honestly about the peak of being properly rated. Now, why would I say that? Bastion just does his job. We all know him. He's a tank buster, but he's not. Can't really play him on every single map, or you can, but he's not going to be as good on maps like Havana, sniper maps. He's not going to be maps where you need high mobility. So he's just kind of average, and that's what everyone sees him as. And so I think we're going to start off with Bastion just being right at properly rated. He doesn't do anything crazy well, and no one's. I don't really feel like anyone's sleeping on him because it's not like he's a sleeper pick. I mean, he just does his thing. Everyone knows what he does his thing, and that comes up to my next one, which is Cassidy. And I feel like right now Cassidy is actually underrated. Cassidy on most maps, if you're playing to your range, you can two-tap most heroes, punish them. You can help deny space on things like Hazard just by continuously shooting him. Of course, you have to be good at the hero because if Hazard just jumps you, there is a wall behind you, you're going to die. But you have to be ready for that. You have to be preparing, rolling out early. So that's why I feel like if you're actually good at Cassidy, he feels pretty underrated right now, in my opinion. And that's going to bring us to our next one, which is D.Va. And she's got to go right at properly rated. She does her job. She's pretty solid right now. What am I trying to say? She's right about the same as Winston. They're all pretty average right now. She's just like most of the other tanks right now. She's just overshadowed by Hazard, and that's why people think she's average because Hazard's been so strong, and I'm kind of right there with her. With everyone else, I just kind of feel like she's average, and what D.Va does is she just denies things, and she's really good at that, but she's not to a point where she's crazy broken like she used to be. Which leads me into my next hero, which is Genji. Genji probably is the most underrated hero in Overwatch right now. I cannot lie. He is extremely good into the Hazard meta. He has the deflect to where Hazard can't kill him. He has a dash to where he can get out. And he can just constantly poke. You can go in with your Hazard as well to be able to finish off those kills, especially with the meta being Sojourn Hazard. Genji fits just perfectly in there. He has his deflect to block Sojourn rail if he gets low. He can go in, finish those low targets that Sojourn rails. Same thing if Hazard walls somebody. He's just very good at fitting with the team comp right now. And the better you are at Genji, the higher, of course you are. The better you are at anyone, you're going to rank up easier. But Genji is just super sleeper pick right now. People think he's really bad. And while some parts of his kit are bad, like his Dragon Blade only doing 110 damage a swing, that's pretty bad. But just his base kit is so strong, being able to survive and just constantly put out a little bit of damage, constantly harass people, and then always having that threat to go in and finish off a low HP target that after like a Sojourn rail or something. So that's why I feel like Genji's might be the most underrated hero right now. And same thing with Hanzo. If you are really cracked at Hanzo, he can one-tap people. I never see Hanzo being played, so that's the only reason I gotta say he's underrated right now. I never see Hanzo. Do you guys ever see Hanzo? Like, I don't know, man. I never see Hanzo. I think Hanzo's kind of slept on right now. He can one-tap anybody. Like, one-tap's really strong. Same thing with Widow, but he can do it quicker and at closer range more consistently. So it's like, unless you're playing at range, unless you're on like a Widow map, that's the only time you're going to be losing duels to Widow, in my opinion, because everywhere else you can play to your range, you can play to your advantage on Hanzo, just outside of things like Havana and Gibraltar. Even on Gibraltar, you can kind of get away with it, but you know what I mean. Just maps with those long sight lines where Widow dominates. Any maps that's not there, Hanzo, I feel like is kind of slept on right now. I might even start playing him a little bit after this. I can't lie. Who's up next? Junkrat. Junkrat, honestly, maybe it's just. I'm kind of debating between overrated and properly rated, but I think I'm gonna have to leave him properly rated because people know he's not OP. But sometimes, I don't know, I hear a lot of complaints about Junkrat. There's a lot of Junkrat players, so it makes me feel like he might be overrated. But all the Junkrat players are one tricks as well. They're just insane, so we can't really say that. So I just feel like Junkrat, because He can't two tap anymore. He can't one shot with his combo. Let me recall. He can two tap, but he can't one shot combo anymore. And since he lost that one shot combo, he hasn't been broken. He's been played a lot less because of that. Because that was a thing that was just super easy to consistently get picks. And so now he's kind of average. You see less players playing him, although outside of the one tricks, there's still an absurd amount of one tricks, especially in high ranks. It's kind of crazy. And so I just feel like kind of no one's sleeping on him. It's not like he does something crazy that we're not figuring out. He's good into hazard, so he might be a little underrated in that aspect because you can just cut through that, help cut through his armor early on and kind of just constantly pressuring a hazard. Hazard jumps in on you. You know what? Maybe right now we're moving into underrated. I'm starting properly and overrated. But into Hazard, Junkrat's actually pretty strong right now. And because Hazard's meta, Hazard's what's dictating the meta, especially in higher ranks. And Junkrat kind of can counter Hazard if you think about it. Throwing that trap down behind him whenever he's blocking, you can get him stuck there. That can give you a free kill. Constantly putting out that damage on the Hazard, not allowing him to walk in, just constantly spamming him makes it really hard for you to walk in. And so, now, me talking through it and figuring it out, kind of feel like he's underrated right now. And same thing with Lucio. I'm going to put another... Oh, actually, I got to think about Lucio for a second. No, Lucio has to be. Lucio's Lucio. Lucio's always been Lucio. You know, and up until Juno's release, he was extremely strong and played almost everywhere, especially in the pro scene. Just because of his speed boost. But with Juno being released, there's 2 speed boosts now. So you don't have to always have Lucio if you want a more mobile comp. And so with that being said, I just don't see Lucio playing all that much. Lucio can be really strong if played well, but no one in comp is playing Lucio to speed boost you around. They're all going red at Lucio. So it always kind of feels like your Lucio's feeding unless he's Frogger, but also if he's Frogger, he's still feeding. But you're having fun with it if it's Frogger. So it's like, I feel like he's pretty properly rated right now. And that goes to... That brings a... Whoa, excuse me, I had a fart. Ew. I hope you guys didn't hear that. We'll cut that from the VOD. I'm going to forget to cut it. Anyways, next up is Mei. Now with Mei, she is amazing. But where are we going to put her? Mei's pretty decent right now into Hazard. She has her wall to block off Hazard. I just don't see her being played all that much. Hazard leaps in, you can solo ult him. If they don't have a Curie, it's free kills. I kind of feel like Mei is kind of being slept on. Her wall's insane. She has pretty good damage from her Icicle. That slow from her one's pretty good. I say her one, her primary fire, sorry. I don't feel like anyone's sleeping on Mei. Actually, she has to be underrated. Nobody plays Mei right now. She just has to be. She has to be underrated because her wall's really good into Hazard. She can slow people. And with it Hazard being played, it's a lot of Soj Genji. Genji dashes in, you can kind of slow him down, poke him out. Mei's pretty strong right now. Not strong, but pretty slept on right now. She's really good too. But yeah, that brings me into my next hero, Mercy. Overrated. I hate this hero. I'm just kidding. She's not actually overrated. In all honesty, she's properly rated. Everyone knows Mercy's a terrible hero. Only time Mercy's is a good hero is if she's duoed with a hitscan DPS who's just smurfing and better than the average player in the lobby. So it's like, that's the only time you feel like Mercy's really strong. Otherwise, 90% of the time, especially if it's a solo queue Mercy player, it's just dog to have on your team. So it's kind of just like, she's just mid. Everyone knows what she is. She is properly rated. So in all reality, taking a pause, I gotta go use the restroom. Okay, we're back. We're back right now with Pharah. Wow, there hasn't been any overrated heroes yet. It's kind of crazy. Are there going to be any overrated heroes? I'm almost starting to feel like there may not be. Anyways, let's get into it. Pharah. Pharah is another hero who is honestly underrated right now because this goes back to Hazard meta. Hopefully this changes in a week or two whenever the new season comes out. But man, Pharah does really strong damage against tanks because she She cuts through armor better than other heroes since she has those big 120 damage burst rockets. And in all honesty, she can spam out Hazard. She can go flank on the back line. I never see Pharah being played unless you're that. There's one Pharah player I know of in Masters, or it's like I Masters. Whoa, GM, I forget his name. Anyways, he streams. There's only one there's only one Pharah player I see, and anytime his name's Flexer, I think Flexer. Shout out Flexer, and I feel like he's honestly pretty good into Hazard. Hazard can't go after Pharah unless you're like in a room by yourself. But if you're on Pharah, why would you be on a room by yourself? Let's be so for real. I feel like outside of hit scan dominant maps with long ranges, I feel like Pharah is really good right now. You can always make something happen with her. So for that, I gotta put her underrated. Next up with Reaper. Reaper is a hero who is kind of slacking right now, and people think of him as a tank buster, but in reality, he is a squishy killer. You go in, you TP into the backline, you kill a squishy, you get out. And because of how people think Reaper's played and how they play him, they're like, oh, we need a tank buster. This Hazard's going crazy, especially in lower ranks. They feel like he's cutting, like they need to cut through the armor, but with Reaper, the way his spread works now, and with armor changes in the past, he just doesn't do that much damage to tanks. Instead, you want to go after squishies. And for that reason, he has to be our first overrated hero. And it's not overrated in a sense that people think he's overrated in a sense because people think he's stronger than he is because they think just go shoot tank. But you have to do a little bit more. He is extremely strong right now and can easily kill squishies. I mean, TP in, you can fade back out, and you can be healed in the middle of your fade. That's just always going to be strong, especially when you can like 2-3 tap a squishy really quickly. You have that fade to stop Ana from sleeping you. You can just fade out whenever you hear that sleep cue. Really strong right now, but overrated because people don't know how to play him correctly, and they think he's good in a different way where he's really not. So that leads me to my next point, which is Reinhardt. And Reinhardt just, I think he is like the epitome of properly rated. He's a little, like just at his base kit, he might be a little overtuned or a little overstated. A lot of the heroes in this game are. Reinhardt just does his job. He holds space, he can make space, he can pin into the back line, get people to chase him, then just hold up his shield for a while. Everyone knows what Reinhardt does. You're not going to be really surprised by a Reinhardt in these days. And I mean, let's be real. If you're getting flank shattered, surprised by Reinhardt, like if you're getting flank shattered by Metallicus, bro, like you deserve it. So I don't know. I feel like he's pretty properly rated right now. And with that being said, yeah, let's move on to Hog. Hog is going to be a hero that, now, only if you're good at him, of course. If you're bad Hog, this doesn't apply to you. Kind of underrated right now. You can constantly pressure out a Hazard. Hazard goes in on your backline. You can hook him back out. Hazard goes in on your backline. You can go on a flank. You can walk at their backline. The only thing you have to worry about, as always with Hog, is getting antied. And then if you can just play tight enough to cover to wait out that anti whenever you get hit, that's all you have to do. And especially if you have a Kiriko on your team, you can just go crazy on Hog right now into the Hazard. Hog ult's also good into Hazard. He has to just block, and then he just gets floated away, and you get so much free space. Even if you don't kill the Hazard, you get so much free space. You can just be shooting him, hook him, keep fucking shooting him with your ult, you know. Hog is actually really good into the Hazard meta right now. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. Next up, what do we have? We have Soldier. Soldier 76. Soldier 76 right now, in my opinion, he's pretty average. I mean, he doesn't do anything better than any other hero. He's like a mix between Sojourn and Tracer, where they go like, he just runs around all the time, goes and pokes, but he doesn't really have enough DPS to be able to kill through things. Like, you can't really kill through brig kills. I mean, you can, but you have to be hitting every single shot. Even something as simple as someone getting a Zen Orb on them, unless you can burst them down with your missile when they're under half HP, only way you're really going to kill them. People know that. People know Soldier's not good right now. And so with that, he's just properly rated. People know what Soldier does. He perma flanks. It's the only way to get value out of him. And kind of just not the best right now. So, and people know that, and it's across all ranks too. Soldier is just Soldier, you know. He's the COD hero. So, up next, Symmetra. Symmetra in this meta is pretty bad right now. People know it. Um, you can just get jumped on by a hazard before you can drop your E out. You're teleported to get away. Can't like you. Only thing you can do is just kind of harass. I feel that's all you can do. You can try and shut down flankers. Sim's not really that great at it. I don't know. I don't think Sim's good right now. I don't think anyone thinks Sim's good right now. I don't see a spot where she could even secretly be slept on right now. I have a Sim one trick friend. If I don't know if Sim was good right now, I feel like he would have been saying something. It's like, yo, I don't know. He feels like Sim's bad right now. I feel like Sim's bad right now. I feel like everyone thinks Sim's bad right now. So for that, I just gotta say, properly rated. And next up, I'm going to explain why Torb is actually so underrated. Wait, why did I put him in overrated? Torb is so underrated. This hero is so strong, guys. Like turret. First off, turret. What 250 HP? It's strong. It has a lot of range. You Torb can just sit there and constantly smack it if he's in the back line too, and it actually gets value. Just him constantly healing his turret if someone's constantly shooting it. Like it's kind of crazy how good his turret is, how long it can stay alive, how hard it is to kill sometimes because your tank peeks out, he can't kill it, but he's constantly getting harassed by it. So it's like I can't walk through. I'm just getting shot by a turret. Same thing can feel that way when you're like on Genji or a Tracer or something. And you can't go after that turret, or you have to go after the turret. Waste your recall to go after the turret because it's gonna get you low. That's just his turret. They recently buffed him. Was it his right click or his primary fire? I think it was his right click. Buffed his right click accuracy, so he does more damage with that now. So he's like a mini Reaper when you get up close to him. His spam, his headshot damage is really high, and you can just constantly spam. Not the best into Hazard right now. You really have to play in the middle of your team so that if you get jumped, you'll be able to get healed. He can still wall him off. So that's the only reason why I feel like he's kind of slept on is because he's easily punishable because he doesn't have movement, but at the same time he has that armor pack, his E, which makes him hard to kill, and he can last through Hazard. Let me rephrase. He can last through Hazard's dives most of the time unless he's diving with another hero, and so for that reason, I feel like he's underrated. I never see him much, and yeah, and this is going to be kind of a hot take up next. And even though Tracer's always a top 3 DPS, right now in this current meta, I kind of feel like she's overrated. The only thing you can do is just harass people, like I was saying earlier on some other heroes. It's just like all you can do is harass with it being Juno Brig, Kiri Juno. There's just so much heals in the game right now where it's kind of hard to ever cut through and get picks unless someone's super, super isolated. And so for the first time ever in my life, I feel like Tracer right now is a bit overrated. Yeah, I think that's it. Next up, Widow, properly rated. Everyone knows Widow's OP. I mean, when Widow's OP, she's OP, but when Widow's terrible, she's terrible. Widow on bad maps, terrible. Widow on really strong maps, really good. And sometimes Widow can be good on really bad maps if the Widow is just having, the most insane game of her life. Lobby admin. People know Widow can just run over an entire lobby, even when being fully countered if she's playing correct, because she has her grapple to get away. She can just sit by her team if she's starting to get fully dove. That gets a lot of value. For that reason, properly rated. Next up, Winston. Monkey time. Winston's underrated right now. He just got some buffs, so he's been playing a little bit more. He's been being played a little bit more. But honestly, he is really strong right now. Hard to kill. His bubble's really good. He has that extra ammo now, so he can be in the fight a little bit longer. His right click does a little bit more damage. And so for that reason, I kind of feel like he's being slept on a little bit right now, especially because of how strong Hazard is. Hazard's still a better hero, like 1-to-1 against Winston. Of course, Hazard's a better hero. But Winston's a little bit easier to play than Hazard. I know I'm going to say it. Like the simple idea of Winston, if you just know how to play him, he's a little bit easier to accomplish with. With Hazard, sometimes you have to have a bit more of those mechanics to consistently get off those one shots, to really pressure people out. Now, at the highest level, of course, Hazard's a much easier hero than Winston, especially when you get to like primals and ult usage and stuff, and just the more macro of the game. But at a simple level, I just kind of feel like he's underrated right now. I don't see him played a lot, even though he has a buff. And yeah. Now, next up, I have the number one most underrated hero. Some people have noticed it. Zarya. Zarya is really good into Hazard. Really good into Hazard. And she is just good right now in general because Hazard's going to be going after your backline. If you can just get a little bit of charge, you can just walk down their backline and kill them faster than a Hazard ever will because you're 100 charge Zarya, you're walking them down, you have a bubble. What are they going to do about it? And if you just know how to just not die on Zarya, you can do so much. Like, I recently climbed from M3, M4 after dropping a lot, trying to learn Hazard. I was M1 and I learned Hazard and I dropped. I'm the only player that happened to. I'm terrible at him. I'm terrible at tank in general. But I recently learned Zarya, climbed on her, and now I'm GM with like a 70 win rate into Hazard most games because in GM that's what it is. Zarya might be the most underrated hero right now, I just have to say. And I wish there were more overrated heroes, but so far, the only overrated hero, I'm just going to get him out of the way, Hazard. Hazard outside of GM and above, super overrated. Like a GM and above, super hard to kill. He has the potential to one-shot. He can consistently do it. Oh, God, I got to use the restroom again. I'm going to be right back. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that, guys. I had to take a pause break, use the restroom real quick. I think where I was at with Hazard, I can't remember. I was talking about Hazard being a little overrated right now. Only time he's not overrated is in GM Plus, I think is what I was talking about. In GM Plus, of course, he just dominates. But anything under, even Masters 1, Masters 2, starting right there, you can counter Hazard. He goes in too far, you can sleep him, you can anti him, you can punish him. Unless the Hazard player is good, he's not broken, he's not dominating the lobbies. Yeah. I can't just pick up Hazard and go in and dominate in a mid-Masters lobby because I'm not very good at tank. If he was, people think he's just, you pick Hazard, it's insta-win. Well, you have to have some brain power behind it and actually know what you're doing on tank. Now, if you're good at tank, you pick Hazard. It might feel like free wins, but 99% of tank players are really bad at this game. So that's why Hazard's overrated. Very easy to punish unless you're at the highest of ranks where they know how to not get punished. So that's why I feel like Hazard is super overrated right now. Same thing with Juno. I feel like Juno's pretty easy to punish. Juno's very annoying to play against sometimes. Just how much heal she has, her ult's really annoying, really strong. But I think people think she's better than she is. You can pretty easily punish her. Pretty easy to shoot. Now, small hitbox, yes, but it's not like whenever she doesn't have some crazy mobility to kill like a Kiriko. She's a lot easier to punish than something like a Kiriko. And so I feel like since she's able to be punished, people just don't see that as easily. I feel like she's just a little tad overrated right now. Just kind of how I'm feeling. I don't know why I'm just picking out supports now. But Baptiste kind of underrated right now. Now, he's a little underrated right now because it's Hazard meta. But Baptiste, with his recent buffs to his primary fire, where he has basically no recoil right now. I don't know what Blizzard was smoking when they did that. He is crazy strong right now. Like, I don't know how to explain it. His damage is just crazy. And he has an immortality. Immortality is always going to be a good ability. Same thing with his shift. He has a good way to keep him up. But, at the same time, Hazard can punish him if he's out of position by himself. Easily punishable by Hazard. Can just be leapt on one shot. Same thing goes for a Monkey or a Diva or anything. Baptiste is a hero who's very easily killable because he doesn't have that mobility to get out. All he has is his exo boots to get up on high ground to kind of counter. Like if someone jumps on you in low, then you can jump high. That's really all you can do for mobility wise to get away from him. Now you have your lamp and you have your shift to stay alive and survive that dive. And so that's why I feel like he's super underrated right now, unless you're into a full dive comp. Playing against just a Hazard, you should be able to live. You should be able to throw your lamp down. You should be able to hit your shift. You should be able to walk out, like not just play outside of Hazard's range to where you're not getting leapt on and you're going to be dominating on Baptiste, I feel like. Just my opinion right now. And next up we have Zenyatta. Zenyatta, I feel like he's properly rated. He has the same problem as Baptiste, except to a much, much, much worse extent. Extremely punishable. Excuse me, God, what's going on today? Extremely punishable, and everyone knows it, especially in a Hazard meta. So you have to position 2, 3 times as well to consistently be getting value out of your Discord orb still, and constantly be getting off damage, because that's what Zen is. He's a glass cannon. You need to constantly be doing damage to be getting value out of him. You need to have that Discord on their Hazard when he leaps in. You need to be using it at the right time so Hazard doesn't just peek a corner, use it, walk around the corner. So I feel like across most ranks, even in high ranks, he's properly rated. Zen, everyone knows what Zen does. Zen is Zen. And so it's kind of feel like, yeah. Next up, Ana, again, properly rated. She's probably the best support right now in the game because... Wait, what did I do? Sorry. Oh, I messed something up. Whoa. She's probably the best hero right now. Best support right now. You go to top 10, it's all Ana's. Just most plays Ana because of Hazard meta. He's super strong. That anti, that sleep shuts him down. It's the only way you can deal with him, and that's another reason why Kiriko's back and being so good. I think for a long time Ana has been slept on, so I would put her in the underrated category until Hazard released for like the past year. Never see her played, especially the past months when it was Juno Brig. Well, Ana was really good into Juno Brig, so she was super underrated in the past, but now people are starting to see Ana. Lots of pro players playing her, lots of top 10, top 20, top 30, just people top 500 are playing her because of how good she is into Hazard. So properly rated. I think people are starting to wake up and realize that. Sombra right now slept on a little bit. Sombra's really good into Hazard. She can shut down the Hazard. You play with your team. You can go into the backline, harass. You have lots of options as Sombra right now, which makes her really good. I never see her being played even lower. Like sometimes I'll queue on an alt account because I've been learning Genji and lower masters, so I can do an unranked GM, and I never see Sombra played there. I rarely see Sombra played up in higher SR levels, but I used to play with a Sombra player, and he would shut down. Like, it would be really nice to have that Sombra player on team because he could help shut down that Hazard when he would just leap in, especially before the buffs when Hazard was even more broken. And so I feel like Sombra's kind of slightly slept on right now. Next up, we have Orisa. Orisa's Orisa. Like, I don't know what else to say, guys. Orisa is Orisa right now. She's survivable. She does her thing. She does her job. People know she's not crazy OP. People know she's not crazy bad. She's just kind of Orisa. I don't know what else to say. I think she's another one like Reinhardt who's just... People know what she is, know what she does. No one's going to be surprised. There's not going to be an Orisa anytime soon that's rank 1, you know? Like, Orisa's Orisa. She's alright. People know that. And so that's why I feel like she's properly rated. There's nothing special that people don't see. She's okay into Hazard, not that great. He can wall her off, but she's very survivable, so she can outlast that wall. But even still, you use both your cooldowns. Hazard just uses a wall. He wins that trade, so it's like you're still losing even if you're living. So for that reason, I feel as if she's properly rated. And now Doomfist. Maybe this is just because I play in higher SRs and I'll see some really good Doomfists. But man, if you're good with Doomfist, he can feel really hard to punish sometimes. Like, I don't know, man. It just feels like he always has abilities up and ready to use. And he's just constantly cycling those abilities. He's constantly in the fight. Like, he goes in, he gets out. And as soon as he gets out, he gets healed up for a second. He goes right back in. He's like he does a similar thing to a Ball where he kind of goes in, harasses a little bit. Ball does that way better. But I mean that in a sense that, like, you're just constantly in, you're constantly doing something. You have that potential if you get your charge punch to get a pick. So I feel like he's... Wait, did I put overrated? Whoa. Scratch that. Underrated. I don't know why I threw him in overrated. He is underrated right now. Super underrated. But he is, Hazard versus Doom. Hazard team comp should win still. Lots of Brig being played right now. Brig is like one of the few things that easily survives Doom, can shut Doom down as well. Ana can, but you have to be a little bit more mechanically inclined. You got to be smarter with your positioning. Same thing with like a Sombra. You have to get him quick enough. You have to outsmart the Doom. Sombra doesn't counter Doom at higher ranks. Yeah. I don't know what else to say. Next up, Moira. Moira, I feel, is a super sleeper pick right now, as awful as it is. Mora's damage is insane. It's nuts. It really is nuts. The amount of damage she does and the amount of range she has, and with her E, she can throw out for even more damage. It's kind of crazy, honestly. Like, she can consistently win 1v1s against DPS heroes because of how much DPS she has. And if she doesn't win that 1v1, she can just fade away and you can't see where she goes. You can guess, but it's just a guessing game, or a logical guessing game, a logical assumption of where she would go after. But it's just kind of feel like if you play Mora as a DPS hero or a flanker rather than being a heal bot, super underrated right now. And if things go bad, you go and flank, you can always fade back to your team, heal bot if you need to. And so where she doesn't have utility, she has the annoyance factor, much like a Tracer. But I feel like she even kind of does it a little bit, I'm going to say better, because it's so much easier to do it on Moira right now, just constantly annoying a DPS or support in the back line. That gets so much value, and it's actually so underrated. No pun intended. That's why she's going here. Next up, I guess we got Brig, huh? I guess we got Brig. Brig right now, Brig's nothing crazy. I think it's more Kiriko, Juno, Ana right now. Brig still plays a decent amount, but she could be punished by Hazard. She can be walled off, and so people know that. And so I feel like she's I see a lot of Brig still in higher ranks, but I feel like Hazard can punish her pretty well. You can wall her off. I don't feel like she can boop him away, sure, but that's it. Like, you're gonna boop him away. He's gonna have he's gonna be able to leap back right on you, and he's gonna be able to have that wall up, and then you're not gonna be able to do anything about it. Like, it's gonna be hard to consistently proc your Inspire as well, unless that Hazard's diving you, and honestly, he doesn't even have to dive you. So I kind of feel like Brig, at least in higher ranks right now, might be a little bit overrated. Now, that might be a dumb take, because I'm starting to see her less and less. A week from now or a few days from now even, I might feel like I'm stupid for doing it. So this is like, Brig's a question mark, but I feel like she's still a little bit overrated. People are just still, there's a lot of Brig players from Brig Juno meta who are still playing her because it's Brig, and so I just feel like because of that, might be a tad bit overrated. And right now, I think Ball, underrated as fuck. Super, super, super underrated. Very big sleep factor right now. Who is it? Junbin's Ball. They just destroyed in the OWCS Korea. Like, against, I forget, was it Team Zeta? I don't remember. I don't watch OWCS enough. But they beat Hazard meta because of Junbin's Ball. And so it's like, after seeing that, it's like, whoa, Ball doesn't counter it, but it plays super well into Hazard, because Hazard's trying to dive someone. If Hazard doesn't have anyone to dive, you're a full dive team, and you're constantly harassing their backline. Well, what is this Hazard going to do? What can Hazard do except try and peel? And you're not going to one-shot a Tracer. You're not going to one-shot a Genji. You're not going to one-shot a Echo. And so it's like, the only thing you can go on is your supports, or you're not going to one-shot a Kiriko. And with that being said, if you have a comp that can play with Ball, a full dive comp, super, super underrated right now. Hard to punish. You can constantly harass people. And so as long as your team can survive the Hazard and comp, Ball just absolutely destroys right now. Super sleeper pick. Of course, he's one of those niche heroes as well. You have to be good at him like Doomfist, but super sleeper pick right now, I feel like. Next up, Ashe. Ashe right now, she has good damage. Her E is always going to be strong. People aren't grouped up as much because it's Hazard, so it's a little more divey, a little more off-angly than what we see typically in other comps. And so it just feel like Ashe can be good, Ashe can be bad because of Hazard. You don't have the mobility to get away in time. Like, Hazard leaps up at you, throws a wall behind you, and it's kind of hard to react to that in time. You have to preemptively react to get out on Ashe. And then it's a 14-second cooldown. Like, you're going to be punishable right after that. And so it's just kind of like, she's not all that great right now. I don't see many people playing her because of that. I've tried to play her. She can be good in certain situations. So I just feel like right now, as people see it, properly rated. And I feel the same way about Sigma. Only time I see people playing Sigma, only time I play Sigma is on a map like Circuit Royale. And even then, because I've been having fun on Zarya, I've been recently playing Zarya on Circuit Royale, but that's just another thing. And so I feel like Sig is Sig, Sig is like Zarya. He does his job. You can play him on like not Nepal, Shambhala Monastery, maps like that. As long as you can't be rushed on really quick, you can always be kiting back. He's decent. People know it. He's not. No one's sleeping on him right now because he's not. There's nothing he can do that another tank's not doing better. He can play the poke game, but like that's always been his thing, and we're not in a poke meta, so there's that. Right now, I feel like Echo is a little bit slept on, a little bit underrated. I don't know where I'm going with this. Echo, I don't know. If you're good at Echo, you can just always make her work in almost every single map. You can always go on a flank. You can play through front line. You can dive someone really hard, have that ult to copy for a second life. And I just don't see anyone playing Echo right now, ever. Like, I never see Echo right now. Only time I see Echo is if there's a Pharah and then Echo wants to counter her. Like, I see Pharah more than I see Echo right now. And I feel like Echo's pretty strong pick. They buffed her beam recently, so it's even better. And because she had been kind of being slept on the past month or so, especially because it's been Brig Juno meta, and it's hard to kill through things on that. On Echo, you have to land all of your stickies. But even then, if you go watch OWCS finals when it was Brig Juno, Echo was still being played a lot by Stalker. Like, Stalker's, or was it Stalker or Heesung? Both of them played it. But Stalker's performance on Echo was just insane. You can go in, you can assassinate with the right click, beam them down with your E, and they buffed E since then even, and that was being played in grand finals a couple months ago, and that was when it was Brig Juno meta. So like, even with me saying it's harder to kill in Brig Juno because you can have that consistent heals, Echo has that burst where she can kill through it, and so you really do have to go in deep though, land all your stickies, but she has that potential. You can build up your ult, so it's safer for you to go in. That's why I feel like she's really slept on right now, especially in the Hazard meta. And so, like, you can go in, force out the support, you can force out a Kiriko, go in, dive the Ana, you have your ult, you can copy Hazard, you have 2 Hazards on the play now. Just, Echo will always, even in the worst state of Echo, she will always be underrated because she can copy the tank, and you can have 2 tanks when you go in. By that pure fact alone. So, just by that pure fact alone, underrated and slept on right now. And Sojourn, let me think right now. Sojourn's really strong right now. Top 1 or 2 DPS next to Genji. Top 3 for sure. Like, there's Genji, Soj, I feel like are the 2 best DPS right now. That's what see. That's what you see being played most in the highest ranked games, highest ranked lobbies. People know she's strong. She has potential to get picks with her railgun again, finally, which feels good. Now she can be punished pretty somewhat easily by Hazard. Even as a really good Sojourn player myself, I find myself getting caught out by Hazard unless I preemptively slide out because of the way Sojourn's jump is. Hazard's wall goes up to like here, Sojourn's jump's right here. So like, if you're doing it after you already get walled, you have to hit it so perfectly to not hit the wall and then bounce up or bounce off and then just like kind of cuck yourself, get messed up, and then you get punished for that. So I feel like because of that, Sojourn can be punished. People don't see that a little, like, people don't know Sojourn's as easy to punish as she is right now. I know her slides are really strong, but Hazard is the exception to where he can kind of catch her out because he's a tank that can weep at you with a wall. And so, like, that makes me want to put her, like, people overrate her a little bit, and they do. Like, but she's just going to be, like, she's in between right now being overrated and properly rated because she is really strong. I'm not saying she's not. She's a top 2 DPS. But people think she's a lot stronger than she is. It takes a little bit longer to get that one shot off because you have to hit your primaries. You have to hit a decent amount of headshots or just body shots with their primary first and then get that down. You have to get them to half health. And so it's like, yeah, her ult's still good. I can't put her in overrated because she's a top 2 DPS. Like, but other than that, like, yeah, properly rated. I think I've said it too much. I'm also a Sojourn player, so I see a little bit of the smaller things. So she feels just a tad bit overrated, but without a doubt, still top 2. At worst, she's the top 3 DPS. I don't see how she'd be third, but excuse me. Next up, Junker Queen. I think Junker Queen is honestly a little bit underrated right now. She can brawl with a Hazard, as long as it's not like a sniper map. You can brawl. Of course, Hazard has mobility even on snipers maps. He has that wall to cut him off. So like, Hazard overall better hero. He can brawl better. But in a 1v1 brawl on a map like Clash or something where you're just short map right in each other's face, Queen can build up her ult just as fast. She can ult in. Her ult's insane, does so much damage, gets that anti off. She can out brawl a Hazard. You can throw your knife at a Hazard just to annoy him. He won't want to leap in because you can just pull him right back. Things like that is just can make Queen kind of slept on and good into Hazard. And as much as it sucks, a lot of my, if you see 80% of the time when I'm talking about people, it's talking about how they play into Hazard because it's just been Hazard meta and me and GM for, I don't know, 2 months, 4 months, 8 months, 9 months, 10 months. It feels like a year. I don't know, man. I got Hazard in my nightmares at this point. We need hero bans. Side note. Anyways, let's get into Kiriko. I won't go on a hero bans rant right now. Kiriko. Okay. I was like, did I just lose all my progress? Oh no. Thank God. Okay, Kiriko. People are playing Kiriko again because Ana's being played so much. And when Ana's being played a lot, you'll always see Kiriko because she has the bell to counter Ana's anti. And because of that, Ana's being played because of Hazard. So because Hazard's being played, Ana's being played. And because Ana's being played because of Hazard, Kiri's being played. And so it's like, it's getting to a point where, like, I don't know, man. You could also just, like, I don't know. She's not overrated. She's not underrated. People know what she does. It just sucks. She's properly rated, but all she is right now is just a bell bot. She's only being used to cleanse Hazard because it makes life easier for your tank. Much, much easier. Next up, even with Ram buffs that he just got, I'm still not seeing him at all. I don't think he needs more buffs. I think we just need hero bans or a Hazard nerf to where we can see Ram more. I don't know if I've seen Ram once this entire season, whether I'm playing in Masters, whether I'm playing on my main and GM, especially on my main and GM, that'll just never happen. I think he's properly rated because he's just bad and people know it right now. Like, I would rather see an Orisa in my lobby than a Ram. Ram's probably the worst tank right now. Yeah. Next up, Lifeweaver. Lifeweaver, super underrated, especially because it's Hazard meta. Especially for you lower rank Hazard metas, like Masters and Diamond. If you're having a Hazard in your lobby and you can go Lifeweaver, Hazards feed their brains out. And that's why I say Hazard is a little... where'd I put Hazard at? Yeah, I put him overrated. Good. That's why I put Hazard overrated, is because you can so easily feed your brains out. And that's why Lifeweaver comes into check here. We have a Hazard that's constantly feeding his brains out, but if he's getting a kill for it, just pull him out. Boom, he's safe. Like, it's kind of crazy right now. Yeah. It sucks that these are my only 5 overrated here. This is not much at all. But, yeah, so that's why I think Lifeweaver is underrated. It's because Hazard, especially for you lower ranked players, a lot of people sleep on him because of that, because you can just pull him right back out. Even in higher ranks, Lifeweaver can work. You can save your Hazard. Now, of course, higher ranks, you wouldn't want a Lifeweaver for other reasons, but we won't get into that. That'll be a 5-minute rant. Next up, for our last view, we have Laurie. Laurie does good damage right now. They just buffed her heals. She does good. I think she's kind of I don't know yet. I haven't seen enough of Laurie to really know. I haven't played enough of her myself. She might be a little bit slept on, but like, Laurie's a Laurie. She can be punished. You do have your boop to try and get out a little bit, but that's all you have. You know, you have your pylon to heal you a little bit. So of course, you're not going to lose. You shouldn't be losing a 1v1 to, like, if a Tracer dives you. You should be able to survive long enough to get to your other support. But it's just like, I don't know. She doesn't do anything exceptionally well. She can't 2-tap, so it's not like she's being slept on there. And so it just kind of feels like people know what a Laurie is. She's all right. She's all right. Now, Malga, I'm debating because I don't play enough in lower ranks, but I feel like in lower ranks I would feel like we would see a lot of Malga into Hazard because you can just perma shoot him and constantly heal him, but Hazard has enough damage reduction to where it really doesn't bother him. He can leap back out. He should never be dying. But I feel like in lower ranks, if Malga's being played to counter Hazard, he's much overrated, but in reality, he's just he's properly rated. Malga's Malga. Um, he's an easy hero. You just shoot tank most of the time, 90% of the game, unless there's like a far flying in the air trying to poke her out. Like he does good damage. He might be a little bit underrated. I think, yeah, might be a little bit underrated because you can constantly poke out a DPS like a Genji or something. If you force out a deflect, if you're Pharah, you're shooting her in the air, catching her on fire, especially if she doesn't have a pocket. It's really annoying. So I don't know. I feel like in some ways he's a little underrated, some ways he's a little overrated. So that's why I feel like just cut the difference. We'll put him properly rated. And my last one with Venture is I feel like Venture's underrated right now. The fact you can constantly harass people, the fact that it's a lot of Kiriko and Honor right now, you can just go into the backline, constantly harass. Hazard is almost never going to come after you because if in a Hazard v Hazard matchup, if their Hazard comes after you, that opens up all the space from their entire team. The Hazard can no longer hold here, and so your team now gets to walk in, and just by doing that, just by harassing their backline, constantly being annoyance, and nobody plays Venture right now either. So I think she is super underrated because you can just annoy, build up that ult, go in behind them, and it's just constantly flanking, only drill dashing when they're on, doesn't have sleep, things like that, or unless you catch her off guard. It's just, I never see Venture, but I also feel like Venture can just put out a constant amount of DPS, be a constant annoyance. I feel like she's doing I feel like she does what Tracer does, but a little bit better right now, just because those things hurt a little bit more, and she can be a little bit more annoying. Of course, Tracer's more survivable. She has those blinks to get away, and Tracer is a better hero. But on the caveat of that is Venture's easier to play, easier to just go into the backline and get value without having to have mechanics or a lot of game knowledge, whereas Tracer you have to have. So Tracer, of course, on face value, better hero, but because of how much harder she is to play compared to Venture, I feel like those are the reasons why I think Venture is just super underrated right now. And this list was just made off the top of my head, so I hope it's not too terrible. It was just an idea I saw from someone that made a MMA tier list for a bunch of fighters, and I was like, that sounds like good for Overwatch. Let's just try that. And I've been wanting to try some new content this month, but hey, that's gonna be the video. I appreciate you guys watching. It's like 50 minutes long. It's a long video, long tier list video of me just rambling about a whole nothing burger. But hey, might be a tasty nothing burger. So I hope you guys enjoyed. Live stream on Twitch every Sunday, Monday, 5 to 10 p.m. right about then CST. And yeah, that's about it for the whole month of February. I'll be live Sunday, Monday. Come check me out on Twitch.